A billionaire entrepreneur was about to explode with frustration over his baby's uncontrollable crying on the plane, until a poor black kid back in economy did something that changed all their lives forever. "Please, Lucas, stop crying," Ryan Albright murmured for the 100th time, rocking his 6-month-old in trembling arms. The baby had been inconsolable for 3 straight hours, ever since the flight from New York took off for Los Angeles. "Buddy, Daddy can't take much more." At 42, the owner of one of the largest tech companies in the United States had never felt so powerless. A man used to fixing anything with one phone call or one check now stood helpless before his own son's desperate wails. "Mr. Albright?" A flight attendant approached for the 5th time with a practiced smile that couldn't hide her discomfort. "Maybe he's cold. I can bring another blanket. We tried that." "Thank you," Ryan answered curtly, catching the irritated stares of other passengers in business class. An elderly woman shook her head in disapproval. A suited executive jammed on his headphones and cranked the volume. Even the lead attendant had strode by 3 times, clearly annoyed. Lucas screamed like he was being tortured. It wasn't a normal baby fuss. It was a raw, unbroken, piercing howl that stabbed the ears of anyone within 20 rows. His tiny face was crimson and slick with tears, fists clenched, little body taut with effort. "My goodness, what an undisciplined child," the woman in the adjacent seat muttered. "In my day, babies didn't carry on like this in public." Ryan felt anger flare in his chest. "I'm sorry, ma'am, but babies cry. It's natural. Natural is raising children so they don't disturb others." "He's 6 months old, which is exactly why he shouldn't be on a cross-country flight," she sniffed. Ryan wanted to fire back a few truths, but Lucas shrieked even louder, as if he could taste his father's tension. Ryan drew a long breath, trying to stay calm. He was traveling alone because Camille, his wife, had fallen sick at the last minute. She could always soothe Lucas. Ryan, on the other hand, seemed to make things worse. "I've tried a bottle, clean diaper, music, pacifier," he told the attendant when she returned with more suggestions. "Sometimes babies get agitated by cabin pressure," she said patiently. "Have you massaged his ears?" "Tried." "Walk the aisle?" "Also tried. What about those white noise earbuds you brought?" Ryan fitted the special tiny earbuds onto his son. Lucas went quiet for exactly 15 seconds, then howled again, now clawing at the earbuds to rip them off. "This isn't working," a deep voice grumbled several rows back. 3 hours of this? Come on, can't somebody do something?" Another passenger snapped. Humiliation burned Ryan's cheeks. In 42 years, he'd never faced anything so embarrassing. A man accustomed to control, respect, winning at everything, reduced to a desperate father who couldn't comfort his own child. Lucas kept crying, hoarse now from the effort. The baby was clearly exhausted, but something wouldn't let him settle. Ryan checked his son's forehead. Normal. He sniffed the clean diaper, offered another bottle, refused. "Sir," the attendant returned, expression more serious. "We've had multiple complaints. Would you mind trying to calm him in the back galley?" Its more private heat flooded Ryan's face. He was being exiled from business class by his own baby. He grabbed the diaper bag and made his way to the rear, carrying Lucas, who still screamed. In economy, it wasn't better. If 50 people had been irritated before, now 200 were. The crying echoed through the cabin, impossible to ignore. Younger children started crying too, a chorus of distress. "For heaven's sake!" a woman shouted. "Do something about that baby!" Ryan leaned against the rear bulkhead, feeling like the worst father on earth. Lucas was inconsolable, red, sweaty, obviously hurting from something Ryan couldn't pinpoint. "I'm sorry, everyone," he said loudly. I don't know what else to do. That's when he saw a kid rise slowly from one of the last rows. A thin black boy, maybe 14, in a plain t-shirt with a scuffed backpack on his lap. He walked the aisle with steady steps, ignoring the curious looks. Excuse me, sir, the boy said, stopping in front of Ryan. His voice was soft, polite, confident. May I try to help? Ryan eyed him warily. How? I know how to calm babies who cry like this. Are you a doctor? No, sir, but I've been through this before. A man nearby snorted. Sure, a kid will fix what the dad can't. The boy didn't flinch. He kept his eyes on Ryan, waiting. Desperation crushed Ryan's pride. 3 hours of non-stop crying had broken him. All right, he said at last. Go ahead. May I hold him? You may. With gentle, practiced motion, the boy lifted Lucas. The baby kept crying for a few seconds, but the way the kid held him was different. He rested Lucas's head on his left shoulder and started a feather-light circular massage on the baby's back, precise and rhythmic. He whispered at Lucas's ear, You're okay, little one. You're okay to everyone's shock. The crying softened. It didn't stop, but it dwindled to a muffled whimper. My God, Ryan breathed. How did you… He's got colic, the boy explained quietly, continuing the massage. Air's trapped in his tummy. Cabin pressure makes it worse. I tried massaging him. You have to hit the right spot the right way. The boy shifted Lucas, laying him face down along his forearm, head cradled in his palm. With his other hand, he kept the slow circles on Lucas's back. My little sister had this a lot when she was a baby. Lucas stopped crying, completely. Silence swept the cabin, stunned, reverent. 200 passengers stared, hardly believing it. The baby who'd tormented them for 3 hours was now peaceful in the arms of a teenager they didn't know. I don't believe it, murmured the woman who had complained. He did it. Incredible, another passenger said. Ryan stared at his son, relaxed, even smiling a little. Where did you learn that? Necessity, the boy said simply. When my sister was born, she cried for months. We didn't have money for private doctors, so I had to figure it out. I checked out books at the library, tried things until I found what worked. How old are you? 14. You have younger siblings? I do. To be real, I pretty much raised my little sister. My mum works a lot. Ryan studied the boy properly for the first time. Simple but clean clothes, worn sneakers, carefully kept. On the backpack, several small embroidered patches, little medals. What are those for? The boy flushed. Math, school competitions. You're good at math? Kind of. A man nearby turned around. Kind of nothing. That's Arthur Sanders, state math champion 3 years running. He was in the paper. Arthur blushed deeper. You didn't have to say that. Ryan's eyes widened. You're famous? I'm not famous. I just like numbers. Where are you headed? Los Angeles. I'm representing the US at the International Mathematical Olympiad. The words hit Ryan in the chest. This humble kid who'd just saved his sanity was a math whiz representing the country at an international contest. By yourself? By myself. My mum couldn't afford to come. How did you pay for the trip? A foundation scholarship. They cover everything, but only for the student. Lucas began drifting to sleep in Arthur's arms, finally at peace after hours of misery. Arthur kept the gentle massage, clearly used to caring for babies. Arthur, Ryan said, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you have a place to stay in LA? The US team hotel. And after the competition, will you do any sightseeing? Arthur shook his head, almost embarrassed. Sightseeing, sir? I barely have money to eat right here at home. I'll be at the hotel, studying. Something moved in Ryan's chest. Not pity, admiration. Admiration for a 14-year-old who cared for his sister, who was a math prodigy, who represented the nation, and who still took time to soothe a stranger's baby on a plane. Arthur, can I make you a proposal? What kind of proposal? I'll be in Los Angeles for 3 days for meetings. Would you help me with Lucas during those days? In return, I'll pay you well, and you can come along, see the city, eat at good places. Arthur frowned, cautious. Why would you do that? Because you just saved me from one of the worst experiences of my life, and because you strike me as someone who deserves good things. I don't really know anything about babies, just this massage. You clearly know more than I do, and Lucas obviously likes you. Arthur glanced at Lucas, sleeping peacefully in his arms. He's a sweet baby. He was just uncomfortable. Arthur, he hesitated. Where do you go to school? A public high school in Chicago. I study programming too. Besides math, Ryan's heart kicked up. Really? What languages do you know? Python, Java, a bit of C++. I've been teaching myself Horabalai on your own. At the public library. They've got Wi-Fi and some technical books. Ryan fell quiet, absorbing everything. A math prodigy, a self-taught coder, caretaker for his sister, an American delegate to an international contest. 14, broke, opportunity-starved, but determined and brilliant. Arthur, he said at last, do you accept my offer? I accept, sir. Don't call me sir. You can call me Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. The flight attendant approached, smiling with relief. The baby stopped crying. What miracle was that? No miracle, Ryan said, looking at Arthur. Competence. Arthur blushed again. Can I hand him back? My arms are getting tired. Of course. Ryan took Lucas, and to his surprise, the baby stayed asleep. How is that possible? He never sleeps for me, because he's not in pain now. The colic passed, and yes, I'm only 14. Arthur laughed. But when you have to care for a newborn sister and can't afford doctors, you learn fast. Ryan returned to business class with Lucas, who slept the rest of the flight. Arthur went back to economy, but Ryan couldn't stop thinking about him. The meeting felt like more than chance. It felt like destiny. When the plane landed at LAX that Monday morning, Ryan knew his life had changed, and so had Arthur's. It was the start of a journey that would transform not only 2 people, but 2 families. Los Angeles International was bustling. Ryan pushed Lucas in a stroller while Arthur walked beside him, still processing what had happened in the air. He'd never imagined helping a stranger would upend his life so completely. Arthur, Ryan said as they waited for a rideshare, what time do you have to check in with the US team? At 2 p.m. at the downtown team hotel. Ryan checked his watch. It's 9 a.m. We've got 5 hours. How about a real breakfast? Arthur hesitated. For most of his life, breakfast meant bread with margarine, when there was any. You don't have to spend money on me, Ryan. I packed some crackers. Crackers? Ryan stared. Arthur, you're representing the United States at the International Math Olympiad. You deserve to eat like a champion. I don't want you to spend too much. Let me worry about that. Ryan squeezed the boy's shoulder. You saved me on that plane. My turn to return the favor. 20 minutes later, they sat in a classic downtown diner with chrome stools and a long counter. Arthur scanned the menu, wide-eyed. He'd never seen so many options in one place. Anything you want, Ryan said, rocking a calm, smiling Lucas. Seriously, anything. Arthur picked a ham and cheese croissant and orange juice, trying not to seem greedy. Ryan added scrambled eggs, fruit, yogurt, a basket of breads, and hot chocolate. That's too much food, Arthur protested when the table arrived loaded. It's food for a future champion, Ryan said. Tell me about the Olympiad. How does it work? Arthur began explaining between careful bites, savoring each one as if it might be his last. 5 days of exams, pure math, advanced algebra, number theory, hard geometry. 112 countries compete. Think you can win? I don't know. Some competitors study at special schools with private tutors and expensive gear. And you? I study at my neighborhood library when it isn't closed for budget cuts. Ryan stopped stirring his coffee. You're kidding. I'm not. Last year it was closed for 3 months. I borrowed books from classmates, still made do, and yet you made it here. I made it because I love math. Since I was little, numbers make sense in a way nothing else does. Lucas started a tiny whimper. Arthur instantly held out his arms. May I? Please. Arthur picked the baby with the same easy grace as the night before and started the light-back circles. Lucas relaxed immediately. Incredible, Ryan muttered. He really likes you. Babies feel when we're calm, Arthur said. My sister taught me that. She used to say I had healer's hands. Is your sister older? No, she's 2, but she's sharp. Ryan frowned, confused. How did a 2-year-old teach you anything? Arthur flushed, not with words. When she was born, Mum had postpartum depression and couldn't manage well, so I had to learn. At 12, I figured out diapers, bottles, when she was sick. When she cried with colic, I tried everything till something worked. A tightness gripped Ryan's chest. And your mom? She got better after a few months, but I'd already become the protective big brother. Even now, when Isabella's sick, she only calms down with me. Isabella is your sister? Yes, Isabella Sanders. A beautiful name. Ryan paused. Can I ask a personal question? Sure. Where's your father? Arthur was quiet for a few seconds, still circling Lucas's back. He left when he learned my mum was pregnant with Isabella. Said one kid was already too much responsibility. I'm sorry. I'm not. If he'd stayed, maybe I wouldn't have learned to be responsible so early. Maybe I wouldn't have developed this obsession with math. As an escape. Escape? When life got too hard, I hid in numbers. Numbers never lie, never disappoint, always follow logic. It was my refuge. Ryan watched the boy hold his son with as much tenderness as competence. There was a maturity in him that leapt far beyond 14. Life had forced him to grow fast without stealing his kindness. Arthur, can I tell you something about me? Of course. I grew up without a father too. Well, technically had one, but he only showed up to yell or hit. Seriously? Seriously, my mum worked 3 jobs. My brother and I mostly raised ourselves. Arthur looked at Ryan with surprise. But you're a millionaire now. I am, but I wasn't born that way. I grew up in a housing project on Chicago's South Side. I launched my first company with money I borrowed from loan sharks. How did you escape poverty? Studying like you are. The difference is, I got chances you still haven't. A teacher who believed in me. A businessman who gave me a shot. People invested in my potential when I had nothing but grit. Arthur absorbed this quietly. And now you want to do that for me? I want to do more. I want to give you opportunities I never had at your age. How? Ryan took a breath, voicing the offer he'd rehearsed all night. Arthur, no matter how the Olympiad goes, consider this proposal. I'll fund your education, private school, specialized teachers, equipment, whatever you need to develop your talent. Arthur nearly dropped Lucas. What? It's not too much. It's an investment. You've got a brain that comes along once in a million. Wasting it would be a crime. I can't accept charity. It isn't charity. It's partnership. You study, graduate, and then we work together. My company needs minds like yours. Arthur rocked Lucas, who had drifted off again. Can I think about it? Of course. You don't have to decide now. The offer stands. They finished breakfast and walked downtown. Arthur had never left Chicago and was enchanted by the palm-lined streets, the old theaters, the cable-suspended bridges over the L.A. River. This looks like a movie, he said, snapping photos on the simple phone his school had given him. It is beautiful, Ryan said. Would you like to study abroad someday? I would. But that's a big dream for someone like me. Why do you say it like that? Because I know where I come from. I'm a poor kid from the South Side who got lucky with numbers. That doesn't change reality. Arthur, reality can change. It's changing right now. How? Yesterday you were alone on a plane carrying the weight of the world. Today you're walking L.A. with new possibilities opening in front of you. For the first time, Arthur smiled with unguarded joy. You're right. It still feels surreal. They reached the U.S. team hotel at 2 p.m. sharp. A bustling convention property downtown was alive with teenagers from dozens of countries wearing Olympiad badges. Here you are, Ryan said. This is where you shine. I hope so. I'm nervous. Nervous why? What if I'm not as good as I think? What if they find out I'm just a lucky kid who guesses a few problems? Ryan stopped and looked him in the eyes. Arthur, you want to know something. Yesterday on that plane, when you chose to help a stranger with a crying baby, that wasn't luck. That was competence, knowledge, and kindness, the same qualities that brought you here. Thank you, Ryan. Do me one favor. Stop calling me sir. We're friends. Arthur smiled. Thank you, Ryan. You're welcome. Now go inside and show the world what a kid from Chicago can do. Arthur walked into the hotel with his scuffed backpack and a new confidence in his stride. That night, at his own hotel with Lucas, Ryan couldn't stop thinking about the boy. There was something special about him that went beyond math, a rare combination of humility, determination, and goodness. Lucas slept peacefully in the crib. For the first time in months, he hadn't cried all day. It was as if Arthur's presence had left a calm that lingered. Ryan called Camille back in Chicago. How's Lucas? She asked, worried. Better than ever. Didn't cry once today. Impossible. He always cries away from home. It's a long story, but I met someone who changed everything. Ryan told her about Arthur, how he'd soothed Lucas, his life story, the Olympiad. And you want to help this boy? Camille asked. I want to do more than help. I want to invest in him. I have a feeling he'll change the world. You've always had a good eye for talent. This one's different, Camille. He's special. Over the next 2 days, Ryan followed Arthur's progress from a respectful distance. He couldn't enter the exam halls, but they spoke during breaks. How are the tests? Ryan asked on day 2. Hard, but not impossible, Arthur said. There's a number theory problem I solved differently than everyone else, I think. Different how? I used an approach I learned studying on my own. I don't know if it's right, but it makes sense in my head. I'm sure it is. On the final day, Arthur was visibly anxious. What if I don't even make the first cut? You will. And if you don't, you're still among the brightest young people I know. Thank you for staying these days, Ryan. Having a friend cheering for me made all the difference. Friend is too small a word. You're like the kid brother I never had. Arthur flushed. Me too. You treated me better in 3 days than some people have treated me in my whole life. That night, preliminary results posted. Arthur had made the finals with one of the highest scores in the competition. I don't believe it, he shouted. I'm in the finals. I knew it, Ryan shouted with him, pulling the boy into a hug. Lucas, in his stroller, clapped like he understood the celebration. Look, Arthur said, scooping Lucas up. He's celebrating too. He knows his big brother is a genius. Arthur paused, startled by his own words. Big brother? Ryan realized what he'd just called him. Arthur, can I say something? Anything. These 3 days changed my life. You showed me the kind of person I want my son to become. Generous, smart, determined. If you'll accept, I'd like you to be part of our family. Arthur started to cry. Ryan, I've never what? Never had a real father, someone who believed in me. Who had my back. You do now if you want. Arthur hugged Ryan, still holding Lucas. I do. Thank you. The next day, in the final round, Arthur competed like never before, not for medals or recognition, but because he knew a family waited for him. When they announced him as the world champion of the International Mathematical Olympiad, the first person he searched for in the crowd was Ryan, holding Lucas in his arms. It was the beginning of a new life for all of them. The flight back to Chicago felt nothing like the first one. Lucas slept peacefully in Arthur's lap while he flipped through his certificate, World Champion. Ryan watched them with a grin he couldn't hide. In 1 week, his life had turned upside down. Arthur, Ryan said softly, so as not to wake the baby, have you thought about how you'll tell your mom? Arthur sobered, eyes on the certificate. It still doesn't feel real. World champion sounds like a dream. It's real, and your mom will be proud. She'll be even prouder when she hears I met you. My mom always said good people show up right when you need them most. A lump formed in Ryan's throat. Arthur, can I ask something hard? Go ahead. Are you sure you want my help? I don't want you to feel pressured just because I was kind to you. Arthur looked at Lucas sleeping, then at Ryan. You want to know something? My whole life I've dreamed of someone who truly believed in me. Not out of pity or obligation, but because they saw something special. And now I have that. You treated me like family these days, gave me care and attention I barely remember. My biological father never did that. He only showed up to yell or borrow money. When he found out Mom was pregnant with Isabella, he called her a burden and disappeared. Ryan's hands balled into fists. What kind of man abandons his children? A coward, but my mom always said God takes the wrong people out of your life to make room for the right ones. I think you're one of the right ones. Lucas stirred in Arthur's arms and opened his eyes, smiling at the boy. It was amazing how quickly the baby had bonded to him. Look at that, Ryan said, moved. He wakes up smiling when he sees you. Babies know when someone truly loves them, Arthur said, tickling Lucas's belly. The baby giggled. He's going to be so smart. I hope he's smart and kind like you. He'll be better than me. He'll have a present father from the start. Emotion in Arthur's voice made Ryan realize how much the boy had grown without a father figure. At 14, he was more mature than many adults, tempered by hardship without losing his goodness. Arthur, when we land, I want to meet your family. My family? Arthur tensed. Ryan, we live in a rough neighborhood. The apartment is tiny and very simple. So what? You're a billionaire. You'll be uncomfortable. Arthur, I told you, I grew up in public housing. There's nowhere in the world I'm uncomfortable if I'm with good people. You're sure? Absolutely. I want to meet the woman who raised someone as special as you. Arthur smiled, still worried. Promise me one thing. What? Don't judge my mum for our living conditions. She does the best she can. I would never judge her. I'm sure I'll admire her. They landed at O'Hare at 8 on Saturday morning. Arthur was visibly nervous at baggage claim. She's probably waiting outside, he said. She said she'd skip work to pick me up. She works Saturdays? She works every day. She cleans houses in the morning, an office in the afternoon, and a mall at night. Mrs. Maria, our neighbor, watches Isabella during the day. Mum pays her $50 a week. Ryan did fast mental math. If Arthur's mum earned minimum wage at 3 jobs, she probably had almost nothing left after rent, food, and childcare. Does she know you won the Olympiad? I called last night. She cried so hard I had to ask Mrs. Maria to take the phone. They exited to the curb. Arthur scanned the crowd. There! He waved to a small, thin woman holding a toddler. Arthur's mum ran to them, sobbing with joy. She was around 35, simply dressed but neat, hair pulled back, eyes shining with pride. "My champion!" she cried, hugging Arthur tightly. "My world champion!" Little Isabella reached for her brother. "Tutu! Tutu is back!" Arthur lifted her and spun her in the air. "Hey, princess!" "I missed you so much." Ryan watched, moved. It was pure love, real family, despite hardship. "Mum," Arthur said when the hug slowed, "I want you to meet someone special." She looked at Ryan with curiosity and a bit of shyness. "This is Ryan Albright," Arthur said. "He helped me in LA." "Pleasure to meet you, Mrs. Sanders," Ryan said, extending a hand. "Your son is extraordinary." "Thank you, sir," she replied, clearly intimidated. "Arthur told me you were very kind." "Kind is an understatement. He saved my sanity." Ryan pointed to Lucas in the stroller. "This is my son, Lucas." Arthur has a gift with babies. Isabella climbed down and toddled over to Lucas. "Baby." "Pretty baby." Lucas smiled and she clapped with delight. "Mrs. Sanders," Ryan said, "may I take you two to lunch? I'd love to talk about Arthur's future." She glanced at Arthur, confused. "What kind of talk?" "A conversation about opportunity. Your son has a rare talent that needs to be nurtured. Mr. Albright, we're simple people. I don't know if—" "Please," Ryan said gently. "It costs nothing to hear me out, and Arthur deserves it." They went to a family restaurant downtown. Arthur felt torn, joy at being with his family and anxiety about how his mom would react to Ryan's proposals. During lunch, Isabella was enchanted with Lucas. The 2 little ones played while the adults spoke. "Mrs. Sanders," Ryan began carefully, "your son isn't just smart, he's a genius. What he did at the Olympiad is a once-in-a-lifetime thing." "I know he's special," she said. "Since he was little, he solved problems I couldn't even understand. Have you considered placing him in a stronger school with specialized teachers?" "I have, but—" She lowered her eyes. "Mr. Albright, I can barely cover the basics. Private school is a dream too big for us." Mum," Arthur said, embarrassed. "No, son." "I should be honest." She looked at Ryan. "I work 14 hours a day to support my kids. Arthur deserves better. I know that. I just can't give it." "What if I could help?" Ryan asked. "How?" "I'd like to fund Arthur's education, private school, specialized tutors, materials, everything he needs." She paled. "Sir, that is incredibly generous." "It isn't generosity, it's investment. Arthur could become one of the great mathematicians. Wasting that would be a crime." "But why would you do this for us?" "Mom, can I tell the whole story?" Arthur asked. "Tell it." Arthur recounted everything, the plane, the 3 days in LA, how Ryan treated him like a son, their talks about the future. "And now," Arthur finished, "he wants to give me the chance I never had." She fell silent, processing. Isabella had fallen asleep in her lap. Lucas dozed in the stroller. "Mr. Albright," she said at last, "may I ask a direct question?" "Of course. What do you expect in return?" "Honesty. That Arthur stays the good, decent person he is and uses his talent to do good in the world. That's it. That's it. And that he consider working with me when he's done with school. My company needs minds like his." Tears slipped down her face. You don't know what this means to our family. I do. I know exactly what it means to have someone believe in your potential when you have nothing. You went through that too? I did. Someone gave me a chance that changed my life. Now it's my turn to do that for Arthur. Arthur took his mother's hand. Mum, I want to accept. I want to study, graduate, get a good job, and give you and Isabella a better life. That's all I've ever wanted for you, she said. She looked at Ryan. Mr. Albright, if you do this for my son, you'll have our eternal gratitude. I don't need gratitude. I want to see Arthur reach his potential. Then I accept, she said. We accept your help. Arthur hugged his mum, then Ryan. Thank you for believing in me. Don't thank me yet, Ryan smiled. The hard work starts now. After lunch, Ryan insisted on seeing where they lived. They caught a ride to their building in Englewood on the south side. The apartment was tiny, 2 rooms, but spotless and organized. Math books were stacked in a corner, notebooks filled with calculations, school medals pinned to the wall. I'm sorry it's so simple, Arthur's mum said, embarrassed. Don't be, Ryan replied. This home has more love than many mansions I know. Ryan flipped through Arthur's notebooks, impressed by the complexity of the self-taught work. You developed this without help? I did. When I didn't get something, I went to the library or asked my math teacher. And did he help? He tried. Then I passed him. After that, it was up to me. Isabella woke and wanted to play with Lucas. Arthur set the 2 toddlers on the floor and played with them, showing simple toys he'd made for his sister. He's an incredible big brother, Mum whispered to Ryan. When Isabella got sick, he stayed up all night. He taught her to walk. Her first word was his nickname, Tutu. Isabella chirped now, hugging him. She can't say Arthur yet, he laughed, so I'm Tutu. Watching them, Ryan felt certain he was making the right choice. Arthur wasn't just brilliant, he was good, gentle, responsible, the kind of person he wanted to see thrive in the world. Mrs. Sanders, Ryan said, may I make one more proposal? What is it? I'd like to move you into a better place, a bigger home in a safer neighborhood. Sir, that's too much. It isn't. Arthur needs a proper environment to study. Isabella needs a safe place to grow. Ryan, we don't need a new house, Arthur interjected. We just need opportunity. You can't do advanced math in a 2-room apartment with street noise and no space for books, Ryan said kindly. Her eyes shone. Sir, this is more kindness than we deserve. You do deserve it. You deserve every good thing at afternoon. Ryan called Camille and shared everything. Are you sure you want to do this? She asked. Absolutely. This kid will change the world, Ryan said. And his family, honest, hard-working, full of love. Then do it, Camille said. You've always had good instincts about people. Thank you. Just promise me one thing. What? That when we're all settled, you'll have them over for dinner. I want you to meet the boy who won my heart in 3 days. I promise. I'm already excited to meet him. That night, Arthur couldn't sleep. On the mattress he shared with his mum, Isabella, in a small bed nearby. He replayed everything. Mum, he whispered, are you awake? I am. Is this real? It's real, Arthur. You earned it with your talent and hard work. And Ryan is real too. He's a good man. You can see it in his eyes. Mom, promise if things get hard, you'll tell me. I don't want you working like this forever. I promise. But now sleep. Tomorrow we start building your future. Arthur closed his eyes, but his mind raced with possibilities. For the first time in his life, the future looked bright. Across town, Ryan lay awake planning next steps. School for Arthur, a new home for the family, opportunities just beginning. Lucas slept quietly in his crib, as if he knew his life had changed for the better too. He now had a big brother who loved him like family, because that's exactly what they had become. A family chosen by fate, united by love, and a will to do good. The transformation had only begun. 3 weeks after returning from Los Angeles, Arthur Sanders walked nervously through the corridors of St. Benedict Prep, one of the most traditional private schools in Chicago. The new uniform still felt strange on his body. His shoes clicked against the marble floors, each step reminding him he was in a world completely different from his own. "Arthur!" A familiar voice called down the hall. It was Ryan, who had promised to accompany the boy on his first day. "Hey, Ryan," Arthur answered, clearly tense. "I still can't believe I'm here." "Believe it, and you're going to do great," Ryan noticed the anxiety in the boy's face. "Nervous?" "Very. All these kids look like they were born here. I feel like an alien." "Arthur, you just became world champion in math. If anyone should be intimidated, it's them. They've got things I never had, places they've been, people they know, experiences that... And you've got experiences they don't," Ryan cut in gently. "You know about grit, determination, sacrifice. That's worth more than any privilege." Arthur took a breath and shifted his new backpack. "How's Lucas?" "Fantastic. Camille's in love with him, and he asks for you every day. Well, not in words, but he keeps glancing at the door waiting for you to appear." "Seriously?" "Seriously. Yesterday he cried when the driver showed up and it wasn't you." Arthur smiled for the first time that morning. "I'll visit tonight." "Nope. Tonight you go home, rest, and tell me all about your day." "Lucas can wait a bit." The bell rang and students streamed toward classrooms. Arthur joined the flow, trying not to feel completely lost. The room was impressive. Air conditioning, digital boards, individual desks of polished wood. He took a seat in the back, hoping to be invisible. "Class," the math teacher announced, "we have a new student today, Arthur Sanders, who just won the International Mathematical Olympiad." Head swiveled. Heat rushed to Arthur's face. "Arthur, want to introduce yourself?" My name's Arthur Sanders. I'm 14, and yes, I did win that competition." "Wow, that's amazing," a girl in the front row blurted. "You must be like a super genius." "I'm not a genius," Arthur said, uncomfortable. "I just really like math." A blonde boy in the second row raised his hand. "If he's world champion, why is he in a regular class? Shouldn't he be in an advanced track?" "Good question, Ethan," the teacher said. "Arthur?" Arthur shifted in his seat. "I have gaps in other subjects. I'm here to level up across the board." "What kind of gaps?" Ethan pressed, his tone edged with challenge. "Ethan," the teacher warned, "let's focus on the lesson." Arthur understood the tone behind the question. Ethan wasn't curious, he was testing him. Others seemed to be weighing whether Arthur deserved to be there. Math class went smoothly. When the teacher wrote a difficult equation on the board, Arthur solved it in seconds, mentally, but kept quiet, not wanting more attention. At recess, he sat alone in the courtyard, listening to groups chat about international trips, fancy restaurants, and clothing brands that cost more than his family's monthly income. "You're the Olympiad guy, right?" a voice said behind him. Arthur turned, a black boy about his height with an easy smile. "That's me." "I'm Marcus." "Marcus Owens. I'm a scholarship kid, too." "Scholarship?" "Yeah, my dad works security at an office building. I got in on a merit scholarship for a high score on the City Honors exam." Relief washed through Arthur. "I thought I was the only one." "Nope, there are like 5 of us. We sort of recognize each other." "How?" "Plainer sneakers. A backpack that isn't from the hot brand, a lost look the first week. Marcus laughed. But you get used to it. And the other students, how do they treat you? Most are cool. A few make a point of reminding us we're not like them. He tipped his chin. Like Ethan. You've met him? Briefly, Arthur said. His dad owns a hotel chain. He thinks the world revolves around him. I noticed. Relax. In the end, grades matter most, and from what I've heard, you're going to obliterate everyone in math. I don't want to obliterate anyone, Arthur said honestly. I just want to learn. That's the difference between us and them, Marcus said. We're here to learn. They're here because their parents pay. Their conversation was cut short when Ethan approached with two friends. Look at that, he said loudly. The scholarship kids found each other. Marcus tensed, but kept his cool. Hey, Ethan. How's it going? Great. Just came to meet the world-famous champion. Ethan looked Arthur up and down. So you're the math genius? I'm not a genius, Arthur repeated. I got lucky at the competition. Lucky, Ethan chuckled. Interesting, because I read you'd never won nationals, and then out of nowhere you're world champion. Arthur felt the jab, but didn't see where Ethan was going. What are you implying? Marcus asked, catching the tension. I'm not implying anything, Ethan said, faux innocent. I just find it curious how some people land opportunities others don't. What opportunities? Arthur asked. Oh, you don't know? Ethan smirked. Word is the whole school already knows you've got a millionaire benefactor footing your bills. Arthur felt the blood drain from his face. How do you know that? Everybody knows everything here. The real question is, what did you do to land such a generous patron? The insinuation was gross. Arthur's hands balled into fists. Ethan, Marcus stepped forward, you're being a jerk. A jerk for asking a legitimate question? I want to know how a kid from the projects suddenly gets a millionaire patron, private school, and doors that the rest of us work years to pry open. Arthur took a step toward him. You want to know how? I saved someone's life. I used what I knew to help somebody in trouble without expecting anything back. What could a kid from the projects possibly know? Ethan sneered. How to calm a baby in pain. Math I learned alone at the library. What responsibility feels like when you're 12? Ethan gave a mocking laugh. Oh, the pity routine worked. Something snapped. Pity? Arthur's voice rose. You think it's pity to care for your newborn sister while your mom works 3 jobs? You think it's pity to study from borrowed books because you can't buy your own? Arthur, breathe, Marcus cautioned. No, he wants to know who I am. Arthur faced Ethan. I'm the son of a woman who works 14 hours a day to keep her kids dignified. I'm the brother who learned to change diapers and mix formula because there was no one else. I'm the kid who taught himself college math at a public library. And now you've got a rich protector? Ethan cut in, oily. And now I've got a chance to use my talent to help my family and others like me. If that bothers you, that's your problem, not mine. Gentlemen, the assistant principal's voice sliced the air. What's going on here? Nothing, Ethan said smoothly, switching to polite mode. We were just getting to know Arthur. Everything okay, Arthur? Arthur drew a breath. It is. Good. The bell's about to ring. Back to class, Ethan drifted off with his friends, but as he passed Arthur, he murmured, This isn't over. The rest of the day blurred. Arthur sat through classes, absorbing, but rattled by the confrontation. When Ryan picked him up after school, he saw immediately that something was wrong. How was day 1? Interesting. Interesting how? They got into the car. Arthur, what happened? Ryan, can I ask you something? Anything. Do people know you're helping me? Some do. Why? Because a kid at school said everyone's talking about my millionaire patron. Ryan exhaled. Ah, and how did that make you feel? Humiliated. He made it sound like I got everything the wrong way. Look at me, Ryan said. Arthur did. You earned your opportunity with talent and character. My decision to invest in you doesn't diminish your merits. People will always think I'm just someone's protege. So what? Let them. You know the truth. It's hard, Ryan. I don't fit there. Not yet. You will. And when you do, you'll transform that place. How? You're not there just to receive. You're there to give too. Your presence shows those privileged kids that talent and character are everywhere. And if I can't do it? You will, because you're not just smart, you're strong. Stronger than those pampered boys. A real smile finally surfaced. Thanks for believing in me. Always. Now tell me about the classes. They were easy, especially math. The teacher was covering equations I learned 2 years ago. And what did you do? Kept quiet. Didn't want to show off on day one. Don't hide, Ryan said. You're there to shine, not to blend in. They pulled up to the Sanders family's new home, a modest but comfortable townhouse in a middle-class neighborhood. Ryan had kept his promise to give them better conditions. Arthur's mother greeted them at the door with Isabella on her hip. How was it, son? It was educational, Arthur said diplomatically. He did great, Ryan added. Just had to deal with some jealous classmates. Jealous? She listened as Arthur recounted the run-in with Ethan, skipping the ugliest insinuations. Son, she said when he finished, people will question your achievements your whole life, especially when you come from where we come from. How should I handle it? By proving through your actions that you belong, and never forgetting where you came from. Your mom's right, Ryan said. You have something most of those boys never will. What's that? Humility, grit, the will to win on merit. Isabella wriggled down and ran to Arthur. Tutu! Tutu's back! He scooped her up, and the weight of the day lifted. There was his true motivation, a better life for Isabella, for his mom, for himself. You know what, Ryan? You're right. About what? I'm not there just to receive. I'm there to prove kids like me deserve the same opportunities kids like Ethan get exactly. And I'll prove it by being better, not out of arrogance but out of fairness. Ryan grinned. That's the Arthur I met on the plane, the kid who doesn't fear challenges. Tomorrow will be different, Arthur said, determined. I'm going to show what I can do. That night he studied late, reviewing every subject he'd missed in years of underfunded schooling. He wouldn't just keep up, he'd stand out. In the next room, he heard Isabella playing with the new toys Ryan had bought her. Her laughter was his fuel. Across town, Ryan spoke with Camille about Arthur's first day. Do you think he'll adapt? She asked. I have no doubt. The kid has an inner strength most adults don't. And if the prejudice is too strong, then he'll break it one piece at a time if he has to. Lucas slept in the crib beside their bed, and Ryan remembered how Arthur had turned a fussy baby into a calm one. You know, when I met Arthur, I thought I was saving him, but he saved me. How so? Camille asked. He reminded me what matters: talent, kindness, determination. He reminded me why I started my company, to help people, to prove where you begin doesn't decide where you end. Back on the south side, Marcus was also thinking about Arthur. He'd liked the kid right away, recognized the same fire. The next morning, Arthur walked into school with a new posture, not hiding anymore, ready to show his worth. First period was math. The teacher presented a challenge problem that had stumped several sections. Arthur raised his hand. May I try? Please, Arthur. He went to the board and solved it in under 2 minutes, using a method none of the students had seen. Impressive, the teacher said. Where'd you learn that? I developed it studying at the library. Ethan, in the second row, looked openly annoyed. Others murmured in admiration. Arthur, the teacher said, would you explain your approach? Of course. For 20 minutes, Arthur taught advanced math to classmates who'd had the best tutors since childhood, and he did it clearly, patiently, generously. When the bell rang, several students came up. Can you teach me that method? A girl asked. Sure, I can help whenever. Did you really develop it alone? Another boy asked. I did. When I didn't understand something, I had to invent ways to make it work. Ethan walked past without a word, jaw tight. Marcus sidled up, grinning. So, champ, how's it feel to be the smartest kid in the room? Feels good, Arthur admitted. For the first time since I got here, I feel like I belong. And it was true. Arthur had found his way to fit into that world, by being exactly who he was, without hiding or shrinking. The transformation was complete. The kid from the projects had become what he'd always been, a math genius ready to conquer the world. 2 years had passed since that life-changing meeting on the plane. At 16, Arthur Sanders walked the halls of St. Benedict Prep, no longer as the intimidated kid from his first day, but as the natural leader he had become. His grades topped the school in every subject. His math talks packed the auditorium, and even Ethan had asked for help to get into college. That Thursday morning, Arthur received a phone call that would change everything again. Arthur, Ryan's voice sounded different. I need you at the office today. There's a proposal to discuss. What kind of proposal? Come see and bring your mom. A chill ran through Arthur. In 2 years of partnership, Ryan had never called a formal meeting with the whole family. Hours later, Arthur and his mother sat in Ryan's office, where Ryan held Lucas, now 2.5, on his lap. The boy had grown into a bright, affectionate child who called Arthur bro and refused to sleep without a bedtime story from him. Bro, Arthur, Lucas shouted, leaping into his arms. Hey, champ, Arthur said, hugging the little boy who had started it all. Camille was there too, smiling knowingly. Over the past 2 years, she had become like a second mother to Arthur, present at every graduation, competition, and milestone. Please sit, Ryan said, taking on a solemn tone that made everyone tense. Did something happen? Arthur's mum asked, worried. Something extraordinary, Ryan said, opening a folder on the table. Arthur, remember the tech company I mentioned when we met? I do. Your company. Right. In the last 2 years, it's grown fast, expanded into other countries, developed breakthrough technologies, and become a global reference. Arthur didn't see where this was going. What does that have to do with me? It has everything to do with you, Ryan said, smiling. Today I'm formalizing a proposal I've considered for months. He pulled documents from the folder and set them on the table. Arthur Sanders, I want you to become my partner. Silence filled the room. Arthur stared at the papers, then at Ryan, then at his mother, who sat open-mouthed. Partner how? Official partner of the company, Ryan said. 10% equity with a voice in strategy and proportional profits. Arthur's mother pressed a hand to her chest. Mr. Albright, is that fair? It's earned, Ryan said. Arthur, in 2 years you didn't just study, you transformed our company. How? Remember the algorithm you built to optimize our logistics? Ryan asked. Arthur flushed. That was just a side project. You mentioned a problem, and I got curious. That side project saved the company $3 million in the first year, Ryan said, and the app you created to manage client data is used by companies worldwide. Arthur had built those projects during afternoons at the office, never imagining their commercial value. Ryan, I was just playing with code. You built solutions college-trained professionals couldn't, Ryan said. He walked to the window. Arthur, you're 16, and you already think like an entrepreneur. I can't let a talent like yours slip away. Lucas tugged Arthur's sleeve. Bro, you gonna work with Daddy? I don't know, Lucas. It's complicated. Arthur, Camille said gently, may I share something? Please. Ryan spends his days talking about your ideas, she said. He admires you not just as a mathematician, but as a person. He says you have vision, but I haven't even finished high school. So what? Ryan said, returning to the table. Plenty of great founders started young. Genius doesn't have an age, Arthur's mother finally found her voice. Mr. Albright, this is too generous. With respect, Mrs. Sanders, Ryan said, stop calling it generosity. It's smart investment. Your son is worth more than many executives I know. Arthur lifted the documents and read. They were complex, but his math mind processed the numbers quickly. 10% of a multi-million-dollar company meant, oh my God, he whispered. Are these figures correct? They are, Ryan said, and they're just the beginning. Arthur looked at his mother, who was quietly crying. Mom, are you okay? I am, she said. I'm thinking about your biological father. Why? Because he said you'd never be anything. That a poor boy has no future. She wiped her tears. I wish he could see you now. Arthur felt a strange emotion. For years he'd tried not to think about the father who left. For the first time, he felt pity. I don't need him to see me, Mom. I have better people who believe in me. You're right, she said. Lucas began to squirm in Arthur's lap. Bro, I want to go to the park. In a bit, champ. Let me talk for a minute. Ryan smiled at the scene. You know Lucas thinks of Arthur as more brother than friend. We know, Camille said. And Arthur sees him as real family too. It's true, Arthur said, tickling the boy. This is my favorite little brother. I'm your only little brother, Lucas giggled. That's why you're the favorite. Watching them, Ryan felt certain he was making the right call. Arthur, can I tell you the real reason I want you as a partner? Please. Because you never forgot where you came from, Ryan said. In 2 years at this school, you could have become arrogant, distant from your roots. You didn't. What do you mean? You built a free tutoring project for kids in your old neighborhood, Ryan said. You develop educational apps for public schools at no cost. You donate part of your allowance to buy books for the library where you studied. Arthur flushed. That's just normal. I got opportunities. I'm passing them on. It isn't just normal. It's exceptional, Ryan said. And that's exactly why I want you helping lead the company's future. Arthur's mother stood and hugged Ryan. Thank you, she whispered. Thank you for seeing in my son what I always knew was there. Thank you for raising someone so special, Ryan replied. Arthur was still processing when his phone rang. It was Marcus from school. Arthur, man, you need to see this. See what? The article about you in the paper today. Arthur blinked. What article? You don't know? You're on the front page of the Chicago Tribune. 16-year-old genius becomes partner at tech multinational. Arthur looked at Ryan, who smiled subtly. You called the press? Arthur asked. I didn't, Ryan said. But when a company announces a 16-year-old partner, news travels. Arthur's phone didn't stop ringing all afternoon. TV networks, magazines, websites. Everyone wanted to interview the teenager who'd become a partner at a multinational. Ryan, will this cause problems for the company? The opposite, Ryan said. It shows we invest in real talent, not last names. The next week, Arthur sat on the most-watched national TV show, telling his story. The host, visibly moved, asked what everyone wanted to know. "Arthur, what moment changed your life?" Arthur thought for a few seconds. "When I decided to help a stranger on a plane without expecting anything in return." Sometimes doing good for others is the best way to do good for ourselves. And today, at 16, a partner in a multinational, what's your biggest dream? My dream is to use technology to create opportunity for kids like I was, for every poor, smart kid to have the chance I had. And your message to the young people watching? Your origin doesn't define your destination, Arthur said, looking straight into the camera. It doesn't matter where you start. What matters is where you want to go. And if you have a talent, use it to help others. The universe has mysterious ways of rewarding good. 2 months later, Arthur stood on a main stage in Silicon Valley, presenting his first product as an official partner, a free educational app that used artificial intelligence to personalize math learning for low-income kids. This app was born from personal need, he told an audience of business leaders from around the world. I grew up without quality education, but technology should democratize opportunity, not concentrate it. The presentation ended to a standing ovation. Investors from everywhere wanted to fund the project. At 16, Arthur had become one of the most respected young minds in technology. That night, at home, Ryan had insisted the family move to a larger house in the same neighborhood as his. Arthur video called Isabella, who was in bed. "Tutu famous," she shouted when his face appeared. "Hi, princess. How was your day?" "I played with Lucas. He said you're his hero. Who's your hero?" "You are Tutu," she said. "Always you." Arthur's eyes filled. All the success in the world was worth less than that little girl's smile, the child he'd helped raise. "Promise you'll study hard?" "I promise." "I want to be like you. I don't want you to be like me," he said. "I want you to be better." After the call, Arthur stepped onto the balcony and looked at the stars. In 3 years, he had gone from the projects to partner in a multinational. But what made him proudest wasn't the bank account or the global recognition. It was knowing his story inspired other kids to dream big. It was getting messages from teens in tough neighborhoods who chose math because of him. It was seeing his mom, no longer working 3 jobs, fulfilling her own dream of studying education. A week later, at the global launch of the app, Arthur returned to the stage, not alone. Ryan stood beside him, holding Lucas. Camille sat in the front row with Arthur's mum and Isabella. 3 years ago, Arthur began, I was just a poor kid who dreamed of using math to change the world. Today, with my chosen family, we're launching a tool to bring quality education to millions of children who, like me, deserve a chance. The audience erupted in applause. But I want to make one thing clear, Arthur said. None of this would have been possible without a man who chose to invest in my potential when I had nothing to offer but knowledge and a will to grow. He looked at Ryan. Ryan Albright didn't just give me money or opportunities. He gave me something far more valuable. He believed in me when I doubted myself. Ryan was visibly moved, and today, Arthur continued, together we prove that talent exists everywhere. We just need people willing to invest in it. He glanced at his family in the front row. 3 years ago, I was a kid who calmed a crying baby on a plane. Today we're a family trying to soothe the pain of educational inequality in the world. That, to me, is true transformation. The applause was thunderous. Lucas clapped in Ryan's arms, not fully understanding, but sensing that his big brother had done something amazing. From the seats, Isabella shouted, Tutu, you're the best. Arthur smiled, remembering the scared boy who had boarded that flight to Los Angeles. He was now a young entrepreneur about to impact millions of children around the world. But deep down, he was still the same kid who reached out to help a stranger in trouble. And that was exactly what made him special. The journey that began with a cry on a plane had become a symphony of hope that would echo for generations. The end. Thank you for listening. If you made it here, tell us what you thought in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of our new content. Every like, comment, and share helps us keep creating amazing stories for you.